Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day, thanks to supporters, viewers, and now sponsors just like you. And speaking of which, Fred Wicks, who is a longtime supporter of EPN, has just celebrated a big birthday. Happy 30 plus 20, buddy. This rundown is all yours. One of the biggest games in the world is about to land in the biggest country in the world, but not without some big changes. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is set to get its first official release in China. The game's developer, South Korea-based Bluehole, has entered a partnership with Chinese publisher Tencent to localize the game in China, which will give the more than 1 billion Chinese citizens their first chance to play the game legally. They'll have to make a few big changes, though. In order to get it released in China, the game will have to conform to the ruling Chinese Communist Party's censorship standards, which are notoriously strict. In a statement, Tencent says they'll be changing Battlegrounds in order to meet the core values of China's culture and moral rules, which probably means that they'll have to tone down the violence. This is no surprise. Other games and movies that get released in China are also forced to tone things down, which publishers are more than willing to do in order to tap into the massive Chinese market. The good news is that this won't affect the existing versions of Battlegrounds in North America and other territories, so they'll be just as violent as ever. Battlegrounds is still in early access, with the finished 1.0 version of the game finally set to arrive next month. The game makes its Xbox One debut on December 12th. It looks like Justice League might be able to save itself at the box office after all. The new DC superhero ensemble debuted last week with a disappointing $94 million opening weekend, so many have been curious to see how well it performs in its second week, especially given that it's Thanksgiving weekend in the US. The first numbers have come in, and although they indicate that Disney and Pixar's animated movie Coco will beat Justice League to become the #1 film this weekend, Justice League will still perform well and earn around $50 million, bringing its total haul to around $170 million by the time the Thanksgiving weekend is over. This would give the film a second week drop-off of about 50%, which is normal for big Hollywood tentpoles, and good news for Warner Brothers. Two previous DC films, Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, had unusually bad drop-offs of more than 60%, so the fact that Justice League is doing better indicates that it will have a longer shelf life and gives it a better chance of recuperating its production costs in the long run.
I'm rich.
Justice League still won't do as well as other superhero movies like Wonder Woman or Marvel's Avengers, but it probably won't be a box office bomb. Hopefully Warner Brothers and DC will start making better movies to avoid close calls like this in the future.
I need friends.
Over in the Marvel universe, it looks like Carol Danvers won't be the only Captain Marvel in her first big movie. The upcoming Captain Marvel film, which is already set to star Brie Larson as the heroic Carol Danvers version of the character, will reportedly feature another, more masculine version of Captain Marvel. Multiple sources report that Jude Law has been cast as Captain Marvel, who was the original version of Captain Marvel before Carol Danvers took over the moniker. Like in the comics, Marvel is expected to be sort of a mentor to Carol Danvers and teach her how to use her newfound superpowers. Shooting begins soon, with the release slated for early 2019. And the makers of another big Marvel adventure are sadly no more. Gazillion Entertainment, the San Francisco-based studio behind the soon-to-be-shut-down online game Marvel Heroes, is reportedly in the process of shutting down as well. The studio itself hasn't made any official announcements, but several employees have confirmed the bad news on Twitter, saying that all remaining staff have been laid off and the studio will soon close its doors for good. This seemed inevitable when it was announced last week that Marvel Heroes is going offline, and now that Gazillion is shutting down as well, there are rumors that the game will be turned off as early as the end of this week, rather than the originally announced date of December 31st. We wish all the former Gazillion employees the very best of luck. The makers of the Forza Horizon games are speeding away from the racing genre. UK-based developer Playground Games, which developed all the Forza Horizon titles, is working on an all-new game that will be an original IP, and most interesting of all, it isn't a racing game. According to GamesIndustry.biz, the mysterious new game has the codename Project 2 and will be an open-world action RPG, and although there will be driving, it isn't a straight-up racing game like Forza Horizon. We can get a better idea of what it will be based on who's making it. Playground Games has reportedly hired developers from Rockstar North, the same team behind Grand Theft Auto 5, as well as developers from DICE, the studio behind shooters like Battlefield 1 and Star Wars Battlefront 2. This indicates that the mysterious new project will have an open world similar to GTA, but with the driving mechanics of Forza and the shooting mechanics of Battlefield. Count us in. No release window yet, but we'll have more details as they're announced. Audiences might be able to drink full and descend with another trip to Twin Peaks. With the long-awaited third season of the surreal drama series hitting the airwaves earlier this year, another new season of the show might be getting closer to reality.
This is true.
When asked about the possibility of making another new season in a recent interview with The Hollywood Reporter, the show's creator and co-star David Lynch said never say never.
Well, there you go.
He says that the idea of continuing the story is thrilling.
It is thrilling, Denise.
But it's still too early to say if it's something that he'll actually take on. This means that a new season is a possibility, which is good news for fans. Earlier this year, the show's network, Showtime, revealed that they love to make another new season, but it's all up to David Lynch, so we'll let you know what happens.
We'll figure it out.
Lynch has a reputation for only taking on projects that he really wants to make,
I'm old school, Denise. You know that.
so hopefully we don't have to wait another 25 years.
Where have you been all these years?
The third season ended on a cliffhanger, which, like the rest of the show, is actually more of a WTF moment.
What the hell?
So fans are eager to see what David Lynch comes up with next.
I hate to admit this, but I don't understand this situation at all.
All right, my friends, that concludes the rundown for today. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our friends and fans in the U.S. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. You guys know we have tons of great content for you to check out, so please do that. And if you dig it, hit subscribe, that little bell, and if you're so inclined, that sponsorship button too.